What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the greatest afternoon show in the world, and that is AC Reviews the World, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are at episode 211. Yes, 211. Hopefully, everybody had a good day today. Now, welcome back. It is Thursday, June 18th, 2026, year of our Lord. Shout out to my girlfriend. Her birthday today. But let's get into it. You know, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, but first, let's do the housekeeping first. Remember, y'all, this is a channel where we meet Monday through Friday and go over 4 or 5 topics of just things that I found that we need to review together. Today's going to be more than 4 or 5, but we'll talk about that. But remember, if you ever disagree with anything I say, this is a channel where I want your feedback. So remember, leave a comment. Let's have a discussion about it. That's what's wrong with the world today. People are afraid to talk about this type of stuff. Now, and if you like this channel and like the videos I do, and all you got to do to show your support is always just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos, because I try to drop every day. But you know, today's like no other. Or today's like any other, but we got a lot of topics we're going to go through today, mainly because I'm not going to be doing a show on Friday. I got some stuff to handle, so we will be covering some stuff today, just more stuff just for us to get into. We got a wide variety of topics of things that are just happening that, of course, we got to review, y'all, because the world's a crazy place and we got to see how to navigate it. Now we're going to get into our first topic today, because you know I like to jump right into it. The first topic we got to get into is we got more details about the UFC terror plot, where we finally have a picture of what the ringleader looks like, and it seems people are saying he's an illegal immigrant. So we got a few videos. We got a video we'll look at, and then of course we'll go over into the AI breakdown. Remember, y'all, tell me what your thoughts are. Let's jump into it and see what this whole situation is about and what Fox is saying. Let's get into it.
As we continue to learn more about the 5 suspects accused of plotting a, quote, mass casualty event targeting President Trump and other high-profile officials during that big UFC fight night held at the White House Sunday, coinciding, of course, with the president's 80th birthday. Prosecutors alleging the group coordinated an ambush involving drones that were carrying explosives intended to strike the north side of the White House, and there is a lot more to it. These are images provided by the Department of Justice, and I want to talk a little bit more about what we know, what's still left to figure out, and what can be released. I want to bring in Dominic Gerace, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Ohio. Thank you so much, Dominic, for taking the time to be here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Josh.
Of course. And first off, the big question that a lot of people have been asking is, how close did this group get to actually carrying out this attack?
Well, look, the investigation is continuing, and so I'm going to stick to sort of what's in the public record at this point. But I think from the complaints that have been filed across the country in our district, in L.A., Nebraska, Kansas City, you can see the defendant in our district, Tyson Proper, he talked about his plan to travel to Washington, D.C. and pick up an individual in West Virginia, either on the 12th or the 13th, so a day or two before the UFC Freedom 250 event. You have information and a complaint in our complaints talking about one of the individuals who was charged out in California having actually drove to Barstow, California, where his car broke down. You have information showing that these individuals amassed weapons, they amassed body armor, they amassed ammunition. And so, one of the key things here in terms of how close things get is we never want to wait till the last minute to disrupt a plot. So and law enforcement takes these things very seriously. And as soon as we can charge and disrupt and make sure that things don't get carried out, we do. And so we have conspiracy charges, attempt charges, where people take substantial steps and they agree to commit violations of federal law, and we move as fast as we can. So investigation's ongoing, but yeah, I think the evidence that's in the record so far shows that there were substantial steps taken towards this plot.
Now, I have never heard of a plot where they was planning on using explosive drones, especially in the United States, which is a crazy thing to think about, that they were planning to do this at the White House of all places. I mean, it was a big event, and they were trying to get their voices heard. It's a tragically, but there's a lot of crazy people out there. Let's get into it.
And the court documents seem to allege that it was one of the suspect's mothers who helped provide a tip that kind of turned this suspect in and led to a little bit more happening here. How pivotal was that tip? But also, kind of speaking broadly, how pivotal is information from loved ones, other people who maybe hear something and say something in preventing an attack like this?
Well, that information was extremely pivotal in breaking open this investigation. That's how this investigation started in our district and up in Knox County. The mom saw something that she thought was suspicious, was troubling. She contacted local authorities. They quickly took action to contact the FBI, and that's how this whole plot came to light. And it's extremely important that our public, report crimes. And it's not just in the context of, violent crimes like this or terrorism or anything like that. It's also in the context of fraud, crimes of that nature. Law enforcement, we do our best to monitor things and ensure that we're looking for, indicators of crimes. They have a lot of tools that they use for that. But bottom line is it can't be monitored. Everybody can't be monitored. We have social media, constant monitoring of that. So we really rely on the public to fulfill that function. It's a vital function. See something, say something is something that people talk about a lot. And maybe it's becoming a bit of a cliche, but it's important that it's not a cliche. It's not something that should lose meaning. People need to report things to keep society safe and keep our community safe.
100%. Now, some people might say, "Oh, mind your business. Don't be a snitch." But if it's going to hurt people, if it's going to hurt anyone around me, and I see something that I'm going to say something, it's only natural and it only makes sense to me. Now, of course, I'm not. If I feel like if I'm gonna get hurt by trying to come forward, then I'm gonna do it as far away as I can. But I will try to keep myself safe. That's the main thing, and then of course keep everybody around me too. That's the second main thing. But let's keep going.
How important, in your kind of perspective, your opinion here, is the transparency with the public and letting them know about the situation, the fact that this happened, that suspects have been charged? Of course, there's court documents, so information is going to get out there. But how important is transparency to the public for you specifically?
Well, I think it's very important. And, our first consideration is making sure that we maintain the integrity of our investigations, right? So if we don't think that we can maintain the integrity of an investigation while also informing the public, we're just not going to do that. But in a case like this, where the event is now passed, it's been disrupted, and frankly, once you start arresting members of conspiracies and they go offline, they drop off, those types of planning, people start to sort of, stop talking and things dissipate in that regard. So there's not a huge risk in a lot of cases where you're going to lose evidence or, disrupt an investigation. So in a case like this, judgment has to be made. Okay, when can we tell the public? And it's important that the public know. It's important the public know that our law enforcement are out there every day, keeping us safe and disrupting plots like this. It's important that we let the public know that this type of information that comes from a civilian, a mother, a concerned mother, can break a case wide open and save lives. So I think it's vitally important that we are transparent, but while preserving the integrity of our investigations.
What does this whole situation, this whole foiled plot, really tell us about the role that maybe social media, encrypted messaging apps, that they all play in these extremist plots?
Yeah, unfortunately, it shows you that they play a large role, and they've been playing a large role for a long time. We've seen over the years individuals becoming radicalized through social media, through chat rooms, and things of that nature. And now we see where encrypted applications are being used to communicate amongst co-conspirators and to carry out and to plan these types of plots. It's something that law enforcement is very aware of. We have the tools to try to monitor it as much as we can. But again, you can't get into people's communications without warrants and things of that nature. So I go back to, that's why it's very important where family members, friends, they notice something, maybe they see something on a phone, and then they report it, because there's restrictions on how far law enforcement and the government can go in terms of monitoring these types of things, and rightfully so.
And my last question for you here, what is your message to maybe those who are in the public in your area who hear something like this and they're concerned, and maybe just not in your area, but across the U.S.? What is your message? What do you say to them?
My message is, please report suspicious activity. Please report dangerous conduct. You might think it's maybe I shouldn't report it. It's not that serious. I don't want to waste law enforcement's time, the FBI's time. When in doubt, make a report. See something, say something. Again, please do that. My other message is, our law enforcement cares. We're going to be responsive to you. We're gonna conduct an investigation and look into these things. So law enforcement is very attuned and aware of these types of plots. And, now more than ever, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of this stuff pop up. And so please report to law enforcement. It is vitally important that you do.
Now, I feel like we got the gist of all this. This video was a lot longer than I expected. Let's get over into this next video. And the real thing we want to look at is hearing about the ringleader. Let's get over into that and see what this is all about.
So now there's a manhunt still underway for additional suspects tied to that alleged White House UFC terror plot. This is happening as federal documents identify the accused ringleader as an illegal immigrant from Mexico. There's the mugshot. Here's David Spunt live in D.C. And David, hello.
Well, hello, Bill. 5 are behind bars. Authorities looking for more, given that they discovered a group chat with 23 people. We have a picture of the people currently in custody facing those charges. Tyson Proper from Ohio, Brian Roa and Michael Thomas from California, Daniel Eskridge from Missouri, who appears before a judge for a detention hearing this morning, and as you mentioned, Abraham Alvarez from Nebraska, who overstayed his visa in 2001 and is from Mexico, but he is a recipient of DACA, and that's why he is in the United States. Now, investigators tell Fox the alleged plan was to use drones with explosives to hit buildings near the event, which would force a mass evacuation, steer crowds towards a pre-staged sniper team. A, quote, second wave was allegedly planning to storm the White House gate. One suspect told investigators the goal was to target capitalist elites, or people that receive money from AIPAC, the Israeli Public Affairs Committee. Investigators say that they have screenshots of the phones of an accused plotter that feature aerial photos and maps around D.C. discussing sniper and drone positions. Police officials, though, yesterday, Bill, here in the nation's capital, said that they are focused on all threats ahead of the events celebrating America's 250th birthday here in Washington. Watch.
Things can change, new information can come in, so we're always evaluating that. We also look at how we're deploying resources. Do we need to increase resources? Do we need to change the types of covert or overt resources we see?
And one law enforcement source brief says officials believe that they have the most imminent threat actors already charged in this case, but they do want to talk to the other people on that chat.
Hey, all right, David. Thanks, David Spunt. With that, Dana's got more right now.
Yeah, I want to bring in Fox News contributor Donna Rutuno. She is a criminal defense attorney.
Now, first thing, before we get into what she has to say, what are your thoughts, y'all? Do y'all think that all this could have been avoided? Because they're playing on the fact that he was an illegal immigrant and he should have been deported a long time ago. But I think just with the times we're in now, this plot would have still taken place if he was there or not. Just because there are a lot of deranged people who feel like the best way to spread their message is to cause immense violence. And those people are the ones that need to be locked up. Those people are the ones that need to be held away from society. If you think that the only way to make your point is to cause violence and chaos, or if your point involves just the sole reason of causing chaos, you deserve to be locked up. At least that's my opinion. Some people might see that differently. I don't know who, but hey, we gotta people. There's a wide variety of people out here. Let's keep going into this and see what else we can find out.
And a podcast host of Crime and Justice with Donna Rutuno, which you gotta listen to. I want to play this one thing from Janine Pirro. She's, of course, the U.S. attorney there in D.C. Watch.
The threat to the UFC situation is being handled by other offices. Venue is literally in other states, and we do not have a piece of that here in D.C.
You don't expect that case will end up in your office?
I don't think so, not based on what we know so far. Most of the actions are outside of D.C. In fact, all of them that we're aware of are outside of the district.
There's a map, Donna, where all the suspects came from, all these different states, and they thought that they were communicating secretly. Of course, I guess that's what happens when you try to do that. All the digital evidence goes back to them. What do you think about this case?
Well, obviously, it's quite scary that this is something that could have happened on such a big stage. And thankfully, our government was able to intercept what was happening and thwart this awful plan. It is very interesting to see how this is happening all over the United States. And Judge Janine is correct. Without any actual action taking place in D.C., they would not have jurisdiction. So it's these other states that will come in and the federal agencies out of those states that will take care of the prosecutions of these cases. I expect that all of these judges will keep these people in custody. I can't imagine that they will let them out and put them in a situation where they can be electronically speaking to others again. I do hope that they're able to find and communicate with the others that were involved in this. I mean, this could have been a very catastrophic event taking place in D.C. last weekend.
Now, it's crazy to think that all this, the only way that they was able to stop this, or the best way they were able to stop this, was because of the mother. The mother seen something. The mother seen that her son was making some weird purchases, seen that he was talking to strange people, and she said something about it. She called to the appropriate authorities, and she was able to virtually stop a mass casualty event. And to think that your son, I can't imagine what would be going through my mind if my son or family member was actually planning to do something this crazy. Of course, I'm going to tell on them. Of course, I'm going to call the appropriate authorities. But just the fact that if I'm the parent, I'm immediately think I failed. Maybe that's a good thing or bad thing, but I'm going to think I failed as a parent if my son plans something like this. But it's hard to think, and then most people wouldn't think that, no, this could possibly be my own family. But let's keep going on to this.
Donna, they have said that the UFC plot ringleader was Abraham Alvarez. We showed his mugshot earlier. Maybe they can put it up again. And apparently he was brought here illegally as a child, so he would be classified as one of those dreamer type people, but certainly not the American dream that you would imagine he would want.
No, of course, Dana. And I think that really goes to the bigger conversation and why President Trump was elected in the first place. I mean, this was a situation where, here's somebody who has the ability to be here, even though he was not properly, born here and didn't have the right citizenship, but he was granted this ability to stay here. And then when we allow him that right, look at what happened. So I think that this goes to the bigger conversation and really shows that the Trump policies of trying to remove people that should not be here are quite important. I mean, look, most people involved in this, I think, have ties to circumstances like this. And it really goes to show that people that sometimes claim they want to be here do not want to be here for the right reasons.
All right.
Let's look one more second. We pretty much got to end of this video. Look at this man's mugshot. Back it up a tad bit more to the big one. Look at this man. He is smiling. He is smiling after being caught while planning something crazy. He was planning to murder a mass amounts of people, all to further his cause and the group that he follows cause. And he has the gall to smile. There are a lot of deranged people in this world, y'all. Let's get over into the AI breakdown to finish up this section. So as we know that the White House attached, the federal authorities have officially arrested and charged 5 men in connection with the multi-state plot launched to attack the UFC Freedom 250 event at the White House South Lawn. On June 18th, the Department of Homeland Security confirmed the alleged mastermind, Abraham, is a Mexican foreign national currently in the U.S. illegally after overstaying a visa. He allegedly used the alias Shepherd in the encrypted chats to organize the operation. Immigration and Customs Enforcement have lodged detainers against him. 5 individuals currently in federal custody and charged with conspiracy to commit murder. We got Abraham, Tyson, Brian, Michael, and Daniel. 32, 32, 24, 19, and 31. So the initial investigation all began because of his mother, like we talked about. She exposed, and then after he was caught, he ended up exposing the encrypted network. So they would have never known that any of this was going on. And if they was too late, it could have been a disaster. While 5 suspects have been charged, they are still, the intelligence indicates that the broader group chat includes roughly 20 to 23 people, and they are still lurking for those. They said they wanted to jumpstart a revolution, and like they said, they are a part of the, or did they mention what the group's called? Let's see. No, they didn't mention what the group is called. I remember the name. The Frontier, some weird name. But, and then all the stuff they talking about, the Epstein files and water usage at the corporate data centers. Absolutely crazy. And just one more breakdown of what they were actually planning. They're going to fly the drones rigged with explosives to detonate over the north side of the White House. And then they were going to have snipers take out the people who were running away. And then they were planning to breach the White House in their final wave. There's a lot of people who they were planning to hurt. And it's a crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. That was a long topic. That's probably going to be broken up into 2 videos. But let's pivot over into our next topic we're going to be discussing today. And we got to go to one that's having protest happen as we speak. We got a 1-year-old who ended up being shot and killed by a police officer at Walmart. And it looks like this whole situation began because it seems like the mother was getting accused of shoplifting. Now, I don't know if she was shoplifting or not, but let's get into this and see what this whole thing is. And we got a few videos to look at. And then we'll look, of course, at the AI breakdown just to wrap it all up. Remember, y'all, the best way to show your support is to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. Let's get over into it and see what we can find out.
A shattered window and bullet hole in the windshield. The aftermath of a deadly police shooting in Senatobia, Mississippi that resulted in the death of 1-year-old Cohen Wiley. The shooting sparking outrage.
I'm more angry because the situation that took place really was unnecessary. What I'm hearing from what happened, it was unnecessary.
According to investigators, the shooting, which took place Sunday in this Walmart parking lot, occurred when officers responded to a shoplifting call involving 2 adults and a child. Authorities say the 2 adults, now identified by the family's lawyer as the boy's mother and her friend, tried to get away, driving toward and nearly hitting an officer. Another officer then firing at the car. In this video, officers can be seen running. One witness telling a local reporter of the 2 adults. One was carrying the child, the other a box of diapers.
Policeman shot, open fire in a public setting over allegedly some Pampers.
Investigators say the trio ended up at a local hospital where the 1-year-old was pronounced dead. One of the adults suffering critical injuries. No officers were injured. The family of Cohen Wiley now distraught and demanding answers.
I don't know anything right now. My grandson gone. I just want justice.
Now, let me first things first. Let's be honest about this. Do I think that the cops should have looked or understood what he was shooting at? 100%. But we ultimately have to place the blame on the mother herself. I mean, people might go against me for that, but what are you doing trying to hit an officer with your car? I don't know if she was just trying to flee. I don't know if she was actually, but even that motion, we know what happens. It happened several times before. If you move at the officer with your vehicle, they're going to shoot. I feel like that's obvious at this point. So what are you doing? If you're caught, you're caught. If you're caught, you're caught. Don't try to run away and then almost hit an officer. Now, like I said, I feel like an officer needs to be aware of what he's shooting and what's around. because you don't want to accidentally hit somebody innocent, like this young child. But the ultimate blame needs to be on the mother. But let me know your thoughts.
Tonight, the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation is now investigating the shooting. George Solis, NBC News.
All right, we thank you for watching.
Now, let's get over into this next video and see what else it tells us.
I'm Ruben Diaz. Here's your ABC 24 News update. The Mississippi officer involved in the shooting death of one-year-old Cohen Wiley is currently on leave. In the meantime, people in Senatobia have packed a Board of Aldermen meeting demanding to see video footage of that incident. Here's ABC's Ezekiel Telemaco with more.
Community members filled Senatobia City Hall following the death of one-year-old Cohen Wiley after he was shot and killed in the Senatobia Walmart right off of US 51. Now, when it comes to community members, they say that they've had enough and they're demanding for evidence when it comes to what took place here on Sunday. According to the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, officers with the Senatobia Police Department and Tate County Sheriff's Office responded to a shoplifting call Sunday at the Walmart on US 51. Investigators say that officers encountered two subjects and a child leaving the store in a vehicle. The MBI says that the driver allegedly drove towards officers and nearly struck one of them before an officer fired their weapon. Now, the vehicle later arrived at a local hospital where one-year-old Cohen Wiley was pronounced dead and another person was listed in critical condition. During Tuesday's Board of Aldermen meeting, residents called for the release of the video following the incident.
So we want some footage, okay? Before y'all tamper with it and do all what y'all do, before y'all do all that right there, we'd like to see some clear-cut footage as to what happened at Walmart parking lot and what caused this deranged officer to feel the need to fire on a woman and a child.
MBI is over the investigation. Listen what I'm saying. I would like to see the footage just as well as everybody else in order to make a decision. I mean, you get what I'm saying? Brother.
Now, like I 100% want to see the footage too, but like I've said before, we have to also think about what the mother was doing. Now, if the officer wasn't in any danger and he just shot because he was scared, yes, the officer needs to be held responsible for the death of the one-year-old. But if she truly didn't care that he was in the way and still rammed the vehicle towards him, am I surprised if the officer doesn't get in trouble for this? Somewhere, I think he might need to be reprimanded, but he's not going to get anything more than that. Yeah. But if she truly tried to run him over and he shot, it's ultimately the fault of the mother. At least that's what I'm thinking. Y'all tell me if I'm confused or if I'm not understanding it. But we've seen this happen all around. If someone drives towards an officer, looks like they're about to hit them, they're going to shoot. I feel like at this point it's common sense.
I understand. We need to suspend him without pay. Suspending him without pay until MBI finishes their investigation.
100%.
City leaders also announced that the officer involved had been placed on administrative leave without pay pending the outcome of the investigation. Yeah. Mississippi Department of Public Safety Commissioner Sean Tyndall says that investigators are working to collect evidence and to complete a thorough review of the incident.
It's one of those things that across the board it takes time. Again, this happened on Sunday. We got to gather a lot of that evidence, and it doesn't just happen as quick as everybody wants it to. I understand that, but I cannot allow expediency to overtake the quality of the work that we're expected to do in these types of cases.
The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation tells ABC 24 specifically that this remains an ongoing investigation and that, again, they're going to continue to send more information to the Attorney General of Mississippi when it comes to what took place at the Walmart right here at US 51. Now, when it comes to the residents that I've spoken to, they are furious when it comes to the death of this one-year-old child. Reporting in Senatobia, Mississippi, I'm Ezekiel Telemaco, ABC 24 News.
Now, I do wonder. Now, of course, like I said before, if the officer if his life truly wasn't in danger and he didn't shoot, or he couldn't move out the way, and he shot this innocent child, into the car with this innocent child and killed it, yes, he needs to be held responsible. But if she aimed the vehicle towards him, and if the video shows that, will people accept it and think that, oh, okay, the mother needs to be charged? Because even if the officer did that, and the mother should have never put this baby in that situation. Now, I don't know what she was stealing. Some people are saying Pampers, and that's crazy if she truly was only stealing Pampers. But let's keep going into this.
Now, the family of baby Cohen has retained nationally renowned civil rights attorney Ben Crump to represent them. In a statement, Attorney Crump said Cohen Wiley was a baby. His mother, who has not been charged with any crimes, says she was trying to communicate to officers that there was a baby in the car, but they fired anyway. That's your ABC 24 News Update.
Now, I'm ready to see that body cam footage. That's going to be the ultimate thing, because if they're pointing the guns at her, or because I'm assuming they already had the guns out, telling her to get out the vehicle, and she just drives forward anyway, while an officer's in front of the car, it seems like she needs to go to jail for the death of her child. I mean, I don't know if people will seem bad about that, but let's hear from the mother.
I raised my baby up trying to show them that he was in the car.
An emotional retelling of events from the mother of this baby boy who was shot and killed by a Senatobia police officer. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at 9. I'm Darcy Thomas. Lewis Bolden has the night off. Now, that 1-year-old baby boy was shot Sunday at the Walmart off of Highway 51 in Senatobia, Mississippi. Police said they were responding to a shoplifting call, and the driver of the car drove towards the officers. That's when an officer fired into the car, hitting the baby, Cohen Wiley. Well, today, supporters of baby Cohen and his family have set up a memorial at the Walmart in Senatobia. The store reopened this morning after temporarily closing last night following a protest. Now, that protest was also met with tear gas last night, and Fox 13 was there when officers used the chemicals trying to disperse a crowd that had gathered in front of the door. Fox 13's Rob Sneed and our photographer were both hit with smoke and gas. Rob is back in Senatobia tonight. Rob, baby Cohen's mother is now sharing actually her side of what happened.
Good evening to you, Darcy. It was very apparent that that mother was very upset, recounting how she witnessed her child dying and right in front of her. And as you mentioned yesterday, with the protesters being here at the Walmart here off of 51, the air is much clearer tonight because there aren't anyone here. You have a few law enforcement up here kind of watching the area, but in terms of the amount of demonstrators, protesters that were out here, the amount of police officers, deputies, none of that tonight as business goes on as usual, but still the community wanting transparency.
One of the shots hit him in his rib cage, and the other shots hit her in her arm and her thigh. And we left and went to Senatobia hospital where he was pronounced dead.
A mother reliving her worst moment of her life. In the video, civil rights attorney Ben Crump's office released today. Valasia Wiley says police officers killed her 1-year-old son, Cohen Wiley, during an encounter with law enforcement outside of this Senatobia Walmart. Wiley says she, her son, and another woman were leaving the store when officers approached. She says she tried to show officers that her child was inside the vehicle.
I raised my baby up trying to show them that he was in the car. So she was backing up and she hit a car as I was opening the door, so the door flew back in. By the time I set my baby down, it was like 3 to 4 shots.
Wiley says gunfire erupted as the vehicle backed away, and she says her son was struck by a bullet. The driver was also hit, and they took Cohen to the hospital where he was pronounced dead.
Okay, I am mistaken. Okay, so that plays a big, so it's not the mother who drove the vehicle. If the driver drove that vehicle planning to hit the cops, the death of that child is on that driver. I mean, it just makes sense. Let's keep going.
They tried to say that she forcefully was trying to drive and hit them, but they was all on the right side and she was driving towards the left. They just personally just shot in the car.
The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation is investigating the shooting, and they said it would be transparent. But days later, the officer involved has not been identified. For Cohen's family, the wait for answers continue as they grieve the loss of a little boy who never made it home. And tonight, Wiley also says that she was never charged with a crime. Now tonight, that boy's family, they say that they want accountability and they want answers. Now, this isn't the first time transparency issues in the city have come up. The details coming up on Fox 13 News at 10.
Okay, I mean, 100%. Yeah. I don't know why did I hate when that happened. I don't know why. We have to wait until the video body cam footage comes out. That is going to ultimately tell us what exactly happened. Did the driver try to run into the police, or was she simply trying to leave without avoiding hitting the police? If they, like she said, they were all on the right and she tried to drive to the left, I mean, that's a different story than she deliberately tried to hit the officers. If the driver deliberately tried to hit the officers and they shot, of course, I believe officers need to understand what's in the car, why they're shooting. But if they think their life is in danger, they're going to shoot. That is what they're trained to do. That is what we know will happen, because we've seen several different scenarios about the same thing. But we have to wait ultimately to see what the body cam footage brings up. And that'll tell us if we should blame the driver or if we should blame the officer. But the real question is, I still want to know, was she truly shoplifting? Were they truly shoplifting? I'm assuming they were, since they ran. But in general, why are you having your children around if you're doing something illegal in the first place? But I mean, I guess some people don't have a place to keep them. I guess that's what they'll say. But let me know your thoughts on the situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. That's a crazy situation. Like I said, protests have happened. They had to tear gas the Walmart, the front of the Walmart, to get them, clear them out. But that is it for this situation, y'all. We'll keep up with this. So remember, let me know your thoughts. We're gonna pivot now into our next topic, where we got to talk about the Arlington, I think that's how you say it. Let me see. Arlington. Yeah, we got to talk about the Arlington Lamar High School. So back in 2023, there was a shooting that took place. And most recently, the shooter has just been moved to adult court because he's finally past that age. So let's get over into this whole video and see what this is all about. And remember, we'll go over into the AI breakdown just to, hold on. Let me see. Yeah, we'll go over to the AI breakdown just to see what we can find out. Let me see. Okay, hold on, y'all. Hold on. I forgot to look at the AI breakdown for that last topic. Let's get over into that AI breakdown, then we'll move over to the next topic. So like we know 1 year, the 1-year-old was shot and killed by police during an officer-involved shooting outside the Walmart in Mississippi. The incident took place in the afternoon on Sunday, June 14th, and it has sparked significant community outrage. The police officer and Tate County Sheriff's deputies responded to a shoplifting report at the Walmart on U.S. Route 51. Authorities stated that they encountered 2 adults and a juvenile fleeing the store into a vehicle. Inside the car was the 1-year-old, his mother, and a family friend who was driving. According to the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, the driver allegedly drove towards the officers and nearly struck one of them, promoting the officers to fire. In a video release, we know that she talked about they were just trying to leave and they was trying to avoid the officers. She stated that she lifted up her baby to the window to alert officers that a child was in the vehicle. The family attorney argues that the vehicle was driving away from the police officers, pointing out that the bullets holes on the passenger side of the car. They also stated that the self-checkout footage will show the items in question, allegedly diapers, were actually paid for. So they weren't even shoplifting in the first place. They say that the 1-year-old was struck in the rib cage and pronounced dead at the local hospital. The family friend driving the car sustained critical injuries from multiple gunshot wounds, while the mother was physically unharmed. The police officer who fired the fatal shot has been placed on administrative leave without pay. And then we know that the family has got Ben Crump, the civil rights representation. The shooting provoked civil unrest in that location. Demonstrators clashing with the law enforcement outside the Walmart were resulting in police deploying tear gas. And they are still waiting. The state officials have promised to release all video evidence to the public. That includes the body cam footage and everything. Dash cam footage, store surveillance. So we'll have to wait to find out exactly what footage and what that looks like. But like I said, y'all, let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. That's a crazy situation, an awful situation. We're going to pivot now to our next topic that we wanted to talk about. And this one is going around on social media. I don't know if y'all saw it, but it's a video about a father taking his 2 daughters into an empty woman's bathroom so they can use the restroom. And for some reason, the managers and people around ended up calling the police on them. So we'll get over into that, the news report, and hear him talk. And then, of course, we'll look at the full video that he uploaded that's getting so much attention. Remember, y'all, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Let's jump over into it and see what we can find out.
An Oklahoma dad going viral after having the cops called on him for simply bringing his 2 young daughters into an empty women's restroom at a gas station. Watch.
There is a man with his 2 little girls using the women's bathroom.
I have 2 girls washing their hands.
You let this lady, this woman is she's a woman. She can bring her daughters in here. She's a manager of the QT.
I'm their dad.
You can ask her.
I'm their dad is right. Joining me now, father of those young girls, Tyler Brodsky. Tyler, walk us through how this all went down.
Now, before we hear from the father, let me first say is that I wouldn't see a problem with that. Maybe because I'm a man, but I feel like a lot of people, if they want to take their daughters into the woman's bathroom, I mean, especially if it's empty, I don't understand where the problem comes from. And would I let a random person I don't know watch my children in this day and age to take them to the bathroom? Probably not, because the world is crazy. Now, should he have just taken them to the men's restroom? That's up for debate, but there's a lot. I don't know if I would want my daughter seeing what happens in the men's restroom. I don't know who's in there. But let me know your thoughts. Let's keep going into this and see what the father has to say.
Yeah, so, my daughters needed to go to the bathroom. We stopped at a quick trip, outside of Alabama on our way home to Oklahoma and went into the women's restroom. I usually go in there, I knock and announce that I'm coming in with 2 girls, which at this time the bathroom was empty. So we're in there. This guy comes in, starts yelling, demanding that we need to leave. I should have taken them into the men's restroom, which I disagreed with. I've personally been in the men's restrooms. I just didn't feel like it was a good place to take 2 little girls. And so he was yelling, and I decided to set up my camera just in case anything happened, just to make sure everything was documented. And then that's when the police showed up afterwards when I stopped reporting, and we pretty much went on our way after that.
Sure. As a father of 2 girls myself, I have one main question. That's the only question that really matters. How did the girls react?
Initially they were upset. They were scared. Seeing a grown man yelling like that at their dad and towards them, it's a scary thing for little girls. And so I try to just do the best I could in the moment and keep them calm. And but I mean, they're doing well now.
Good. One of the things that this guy said was, you should have just trusted your girls with the female manager, a stranger to those girls. What did you make of that statement?
You know, I can see where like he may be coming from, but like in this world, it's hard to trust a stranger with your kids. You know, that's not something I'm comfortable with doing. I mean, not to say that she had any ill intentions but I'm not trusting a person I don't know to take my kids into a restaurant.
You did what every other dad in this world, I think, would do of two young girls, and it really underscores all the stuff that parents have to worry about this day and age. You didn't need this guy freaked out about an empty women's room. I can't believe you remained as calm as you did, but that's a testament to you. It's going viral online. We thank you for joining us and starting this conversation because, you know, when you're in a situation like that, you got to do something, and your girls are the priority, not some guy who's overreacting. Tyler.
Now, it's... in this day and age, like I said, I wouldn't have trusted them with anyone. Now, there's a lot of comments on the actual video asking, well, he was moving kind of slow when they told him to leave. He was just trying to make a moment for himself. Now, I don't know about that, but do you think it's wrong of him to take his two young daughters to the women's restroom when nobody was in there? To have them use the restroom there and not in the men's restroom? Or do you think he should have taken them to the men's restroom? I mean, in this day and age, with all the different rights, we know what to talk about. But are you really scared that he was going to do something to someone when he was just trying to have his young daughters use the restroom? But let's get over into the full video and see what this whole thing was about. Or just see more what this is about.
I'm standing in the doorway of the ladies' bathroom. Okay, my wife, there is a man with his two little girls using the women's bathroom. Wash your hands.
That's a crazy thing to say to police, at least in my opinion. There's a man in here with his two young daughters, letting them use the restroom.
He is. He's washing his hands with his daughters right now. He is leaving it.
So what's the problem?
She is waiting to use the restroom with her mother, who is very ill and who is on oxygen.
It's okay.
100%. You know what the officer said at that point. He was like, well, sir, what is he doing wrong? He is waiting, and we got a woman waiting out here to use the restroom with her elderly mother.
Some of them are just immature.
And he's refusing. He's taking his sweet time.
I have two girls washing their hands.
You let this lady, this woman is she's a woman. She can bring her daughters in here. She's a manager of the QT.
I'm their dad.
You can ask her. I understand. And you don't have any business bringing her into the women's bathroom.
They're girls. They go to the women's bathroom.
As soon as he leaves the women's bathroom, I will. I'm standing in the doorway. He's taking his own sweet time. Hey, sweetheart. This is ridiculous, man.
I like how she closed the door.
It's okay. Some men are just immature.
Okay, so it's only the manager who is a crazy man. Or I mean, I guess I can understand his point how you don't want a man in the women's restroom. But you got to look at the context of why a man is in the women's restroom. Now, if a man just goes in there for his own lollygagging, just, yeah, call the cops. But you see a man walking in there with his two young daughters, and then he said he knocked on the door, announced that he was coming in. How can you get so angry and scream and then making these little girls cry?
Here you go, man. Dry your hands off. You dry your hands?
All right, come on.
On my hand.
Oh, she's scared. Crazy. But he's still on the phone.
Got a cross in the front and a gray shirt.
You can video me, okay? And you got a
Don't
a
put your
shirt
hands
on?
on me.
Yeah, well, stop videoing me.
Hey, he
then.
just put his hands on me.
I touched you.
operator.
I brushed you on the shirt.
That's still touching
Yeah,
me.
that's
Don't put your
ridiculous.
hands on me.
That's ridiculous.
I got it on video.
Talking about ridiculous.
He's a white
You calling
man.
the
He's about
cops
5'10".
and give him the shirt.
Tell him to get here soon.
I know. She's trying to get into the women's bathroom, and she can't. He's out now. He's standing
this
here
guy making a
videoing
big
me.
deal about me taking my little
obnoxiously
girls
justifying what he's been
to the
doing.
women's restroom. Because he wants me to take them to the men's restroom.
I'm just standing here.
Probably a weirdo that wants to see them in there.
The mother of a student.
Absolutely crazy, y'all. Well, what are your thoughts on that situation, y'all? We don't really need to go to an AI breakdown for this situation, but do you think he was wrong in his situation, in his approach, taking them to the women's restroom? Or do you think the manager was right and he should have took them to the men's restroom? Ladies, tell me, would you have felt upset if you would have seen a man walking into the women's restroom with two little girls? His little girls? And another question, would you have let a random person you don't know take them into the restroom for you? We got a lot of things to think about, but let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. Let's pivot. What did I do? Arlington fire into the restroom. Oh, did I go backwards? Hold on. I definitely did. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I'm confusing myself. Like, I swear we was talking about Arlington. No, but this was about a father who decided to take his young girls into the restroom, into the women's restroom. And then a manager gets upset and calls the cops. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. We're going to go over into our next topic now. We got to go over into the Arlington High School, where we got a school shooter has been moved to adult prison. Let's get over into that and see what this whole thing is about. We're going to start with a video about the 3-year-old killing and school shooting, and then we'll get over into the new videos about what he did, about him moving to adult court. Let's get over into it.
The mother of a student fatally shot outside of a high school says she, like police, is trying to understand why he was murdered. 16-year-old Jayshawn Poirier was killed outside of Arlington Lamar High School last month, police say by a 15-year-old student. The mother says she can't say for sure if the two knew each other. Fox 4's Stephen Dial talked to her about what happened. Stephen.
Jayshawn Poirier would have turned 17 years old on Friday. His mother says that she wants the suspected gunman to be held accountable for the death of her son.
Unbelievable, crazy, not in a million years that I would think it would be my son, and so close to home.
Rashawn Jacob, the mother of Jayshawn Poirier, is still numb more than a month after police say her son was killed by another teen outside Lamar High School in Arlington. The shooting happened while students were waiting for the doors of the school to open.
I normally take him to the bus stop or whatnot, but that particular day I actually went to work early, and my daughter and her friends dropped him off at school, and not even less than 10 minutes it happened.
Poirier's family moved to Texas from Michigan last summer. Jacob says she spoke to her son on the phone before he left the house that morning. She called twice to make sure he arrived, but he didn't answer. That's when she knew something was wrong. Arlington investigators say the 15-year-old shooter brought a shotgun and a book bag. They say he shot and killed Poirier, and a teen girl was also hit but had non-life-threatening injuries. Jacob says she's unsure about whether her son knew the shooter, but feels he was not the intended target.
My son wasn't targeted, and it wasn't over no female or anything like that. It was just a random shooting.
Police believe the shooting was a targeted attack, although they have not said who the intended target was. And they do not believe the shooter intended to shoot more people at the school. There has been nothing in the charging documents or from police yet about a possible motive. The teen suspect is charged with capital murder and aggravated assault and remains in a juvenile detention center. The boy's father, who came to the first detention hearing, is now in federal custody. A search warrant the day of the shooting resulted in the discovery of 3 guns. The boy's father is a felon, so it's illegal to possess weapons. The shotgun used in the murder at the school was purchased by a relative of the boy's father, but we don't know how the teen got the weapon.
Whatever the judge decide to give it to him. If he give him life in prison, then that's what you need to take because you took a life. And the kid knew what he was doing, so if you know what you're doing, it was premeditated, so he needs to serve the consequences.
100%. He needs to face the consequences. But we got the gist of this video. Let's get over into where he's getting sent to adult prison now.
A 19-year-old who was 15 when he shot and killed a Lamar High School student will be sent to the Texas prison system. Good evening. I'm Sean Rabb. Today, a judge had to decide whether Jonathan Porter should be paroled or go to the Texas Department of Corrections to continue serving his 40-year sentence. Fox 4's Dion Anglin reports.
Tarrant County Juvenile Court. Jonathan Lorenzo Porter, the convicted Lamar High School shooter who killed a fellow student and injured others in 2023, is now 19 and legally an adult. As such, Fox 4 is identifying him and showing his face.
6 months before this hearing, he's involved in 2 fights. One just last month. Nothing has changed.
Prosecutors arguing that Porter, who has shown violent behavior in juvenile detention and non-compliance with treatment programs, should move to the adult correctional system to continue serving his 40-year prison sentence.
Now, I don't know about the fights because I understand being in jail and then you might have to fight. But not being willing to participate in the rehabilitation program itself, it shows that you don't want to be out. At least that's my thinking. Let's keep going.
And that decision is exactly what Judge Alex Kim, following witness testimony, agreed with. Another factor considered, this incident captured on surveillance when Porter attacked a juvenile court staffer and tried to escape the day his trial was set to begin.
He took responsibility for his actions during those discussions, correct? He did. He never blamed it on anybody else. No.
Porter's defense attorney argued unsuccessfully the option to release him on parole with supervision.
He will be on parole. It's not as if this court is releasing him to the community with no rules, restrictions, or supervision. He will be released on parole. He's a good candidate for release because his needs can be met in the community.
He took this woman's son for no reason. Shot this woman, young lady, in the face. Didn't even see her, know her. He endangered approximately 20 other kids who were out there that day for no reason. He lied to law enforcement about why he committed this crime. He falsely accused 2 young men of sexual assault. Nothing's changed.
It was March 20th, 2023, outside Lamar High. Before the school day began, Porter opened fire, killing 15-year-old Jayshawn Poirier. His mother was present and pleased with the ruling.
It was a great decision to make. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and he need to get what he deserved. He took a life for no reason. He knew he wasn't supposed to take the gun to school.
Iyani Reynolds, sitting on a bench that day, was injured. Shrapnel lodged in her face. She continues to live with the trauma.
If I had moved my head or my body any other way, it could have been lodged in my neck. I wouldn't have gone home that day.
Judge Kim spoke directly to Porter before he was taken away to continue his confinement in a new adult prison system.
What bothers me is releasing somebody that may go back and engage in the same conduct again, and you haven't shown me that you won't. And that's why it disappoints me, but I feel like as a judge, I must transfer you to TDC.
In Fort Worth, Dion Anglin, Fox 4.
40 years. 40 years. Now let's get over into the AI breakdown just to to find out more information about this whole situation. So, as we know, Jonathan Porter, who was convicted for the March 20, 2023 shooting at Lamar High School in Arlington, Texas, was officially transferred to the adult prison system. The shooting took place outside the school building just before the morning classes. Porter, who was 15 at the time, opened fire into a crowd of students with a shotgun, killing 16-year-old Jashawn and injuring 16-year-old female students. In September 2023, a jury found Porter guilty of capital murder and attempted capital murder. He was given a maximum of 40 years confinement.